they're inspired by, or I use the white dove piece. And I started developing and working with these wings actually around the time of the Newtown tragedy, and I live in Connecticut, very close to Newtown. And of course, like all of us, it really, affected all of us. And so these wings are, the white dove, a symbol of peace. They're the white doves. And I decided to, see if I could figure out to make them wall hung. They're made of porcelain. They're translucent porcelain, and they're paper thin. But the trick is figuring out how to fire them so that they come out in one piece. So I had done this workshop with another artist called Jennifer McCurdy, and she uses this material called kaolin wool, which is it's like cotton candy. It's really like cotton, and it does not break down in the kiln. It doesn't burn, it remains intact. And it's like cotton. So I build the wings, the back first, then the front, and I make a pillow of this cotton, and I put them right on the kiln shelf, and I don't touch them. And I'll put, depending on the size, a number of them on, and they dry very slowly in my studio. And then I take the whole kiln shelf and load it in the kiln. And this way I'm not touching them at all, because if you breathe on them, touch them, they'll break. So, but once they're fired up to cone 6, so they're fully vitreous, so they're non-porous, they're very sturdy. So, to a point. But the nice thing is the firing actually enhances kind of the fluttering of them. So, it's a lovely thing that happens in the kiln to them. They really become animated. They really come alive from that process. So that's how I do that. And they're hung on one nail at a 45-degree angle. That's it. It's very simple. So I do these in a number of arrangements. Right now I'm working on a large 8-foot circle of them, and it's going to take like 140 pairs. I'm like I'm about a third done with it. And then I'm superimposing a video over it, and that's for a museum show. They're a little bit thicker, a little bit more sturdy, but that piece is called United. So that's that.
Fabulous.
So the next, and they're actually very translucent if you have like a hard light on them. So if you hung them on a wall near light, you could actually see through them. But the great thing is also the shadow that they cast.
How are they hung on the wood?
Pardon?
How are they hung on the wood?
On one nail at a 45-degree angle. And I glue the nail in so it doesn't fall through the sheetrock. They can only be mounted on sheetrock. So it's actually very, very simple. It's very, very simple. It's easy to mount,
You just have a hole on the back.
Pardon?
You just have a hole on the back that has the.
It has. Yeah, I drive a hole into the in the very beginning.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the wing. Then I do these figurative works, and they're based on I love photography. I was a fashion stylist for almost 20 years in New York, so I looked at women's bodies and men's bodies, constantly, and so that figurative work is really infused in my head. I love photography. I love black and white photography. And back here I have, I don't know if I can take this off, but this is the photograph that inspired this piece. So I'll take a photograph of his, and this series is called Four Leaf. So this is number 7. So I'll take this photograph and I'll look at it, and then I make a maquette. So this is the maquette. that I make. I make this very quickly, just to get an idea of how it might look in 3 dimensions. And then from there, I make it larger. And I have kind of an interesting technique that I've developed. I throw a number of pieces that will correspond with the design that, or the maquette. And so like I'll throw 2 pieces of the leg, I'll throw 2 butt pieces, 2 like an arm, like something, you know, a column that I can make into an arm, 2 breasts, like that. But then I cut them apart, so wherever you see these the black lines, I put it together with black slip. So it's all actually cut apart, and it's kind of like pattern making. So, and a couple of our guests noticed that, and my mother was actually a fashion designer, and I sewed from a very young age, so you can kind of see how all these influences in your life come back to you in your artwork, you know. And I definitely have always thought in the 3 dimensions, and that's why I love doing sculpture. I mean, that's how I think, is in 3D. So anyway, this has been a really interesting project, and I've been doing it since 2010, and so this is number 7, and there are a couple more in the pipeline, and hopefully they'll be here for the next opening. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was this piece, or these pieces that I do. And this is called Upcycle, but the thing I wanted to just comment on is clay is so important to my practice. After doing something like this that is so, you know, it's labor intensive, there are a lot of revisions that happen, it takes me like a month. I mean, I'm bushed after I do this. So the next thing I want to do is something a little more lighthearted. So these pieces are made from the leftovers pieces that I have from the figurative works that I do, and I might do 2, and so I might have all these pieces left over, and I kind of play a game. I can use these pieces. I can't cut them up. I can't manipulate them. Just a little bit, you know, if I need to just join things. But you know, they have to I have to use the shapes that I have. And so I love like making something like that. And I love fragility, as you can see, you know, and that is also a really important aspect of my work, because I mean, especially with something like the wings, you know, that plays into also the meaning of the works. But I love playing with that aspect of in clay, which may not be so wise. But and I love something like this that's kind of like made of these leftovers, and then I like to elevate that by painting this 20-karat gold inside the window, so it's like a high-low thing. And you know, I just love like the light on it and that kind of thing. So that's really what I wanted to say. Does anyone have any questions? So that's what I do all day. I have a heck of a good time. Anyway, thank you for coming.
And Lisa's got